Good morning, everybody. It is the 11th of May. We are Signal Centre talking ball. I'm Joe, joined by Steve and Jamie. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Morning.
Both doing well?
Yeah, not too bad. I'm in the office, in the
Yeah,
industrial office.
yeah, like it. Love a bit of bare brick wall.
Yeah, can't beat it, mate. We had our first house we ever bought. We had this like plaster cast wall. It was like 17th century house. It was lovely, and we sort of like started chipping this plasterboard away and exposing this brick. So we started it and started smashing it away, and then all of a sudden we realised that in the middle there was like breeze block because
Oh, no.
the houses at one time used to be connected, which was really disappointing because then we had to plaster it all again.
Ah,
Never mind.
never mind. Okay, let's get stuck into the latest headlines today then, and I'll bring those up on the screen just so you know what it is that we are seeing move markets at the moment. So we had a Fed speaker yesterday. It was President Williams from New York. And he stated that the central bank will move interest rates back to normal levels. He added that 50 basis point rate hikes at the next two policy meetings make sense as a base case, and the Fed can certainly move above that if necessary. As a result, we've seen US bond yields edge slightly lower. Despite the generally hawkish Fed rhetoric that we saw yesterday, market expectations do remain elevated, and there was an element of hope that a 75 basis point increase could be avoided. The US 10-year yield traded just below 3% on Wednesday, so overnight. So we've got the US CPI data due today. That will be the latest read on inflation, and we're expecting that to moderate to 8.1% from the 40-year highs of 8.5% last month. So this is obviously going to be well watched. If it comes in above the expectations, then it would suggest that the Fed may need to do more, and it possibly brings back the potential of that 75 basis point increase in interest rates. Pretty choppy trading yesterday on Wall Street. There were sharp changes in direction throughout the session. Initial gains gave way to notable losses mid-session, but there was a slight gain into the close. And there's also been some tough talk from the Bundesbank, that's obviously the German central bank, and they stated that the inflation trend is disturbing and that it's also gaining momentum. He added that the ECB should raise rates in July if incoming data confirms inflation is too high and that the risks of acting too late are increasing. So a few bits to keep us interested on the news side of things at the moment. But I
Who was
think it's
that at the
time for
Bundesbank, Joe?
who was it?
Hmm.
President Nagel.
Well, he's got to realise that he's got no control over it. Well, he's got a little bit
No,
of
it's
control over it,
ECB.
but yeah. So it doesn't matter what you say, mate. You've sort of
Yeah.
given up that option to move interest rates. So get back into your Bundesbank bunker.
Okay, thanks for that, Steve. You're going to kick us off with some charts?
Yeah, let's have again. It's really interesting. Let me share my.
There you
Oh,
go.
there you go. Yeah. So let's remind ourselves of what the weekly chart is looking like. Broke down from this channel formation, this corrective channel formation, and this could be a larger ABC correction. If that is the case, right, wait for it, you Bitcoin lovers out there. If that is the case, the measured move target for that is 22,000. Well, let's say 23,000. I'm going to round things up now because I'm fed up with saying 28,800, although that is the level of support down here. So we've got this nice, real big band of support here, and we're plowing into it on the weekly chart.
Surely we've got to do a measured move of that massive double top, haven't we?
No, that's below zero. I don't want to do that.
Okay.
I think, no, it can't be below zero, is it? 28. Yes, it is below zero. So that's a double top. Let's measure it. See, that will panic people now, Joe. It was just a nice, pleasant chat.
It's very obvious
just
to me, which probably means it won't work.
Yeah, 12,000. Actually, 12,000
It's into a nice level there.
is a really good level. I remember way back here when we had the first rally to 20,000, just below that, had the big sell-off down to 3. Then we had this rally to 14,000. And then we sort of like really struggled to get past that after that. I think we topped out around about 12,500 right here, sort of 17th of August. But we did revisit that sort of 3,800 level. And for me, that was a really, this week, I remember it really well, 2019, 24th of June, that week, the shooting star, and then a hanging man, then a shooting star, and that's when I called a bit of a top in the Bitcoin. That's when I thought it was all over.
Have you got any evidence of that?
Yeah, video evidence. So if we go back to that date, I created a video and I put it in a bottle and I sent it out, I threw it to the ocean.
You probably
So
did a talking ball on it there, so we might have.
yeah, we might 2019. Oh no, before no, it's before that. So anyway, the only thing that I sort of see as a positive from yesterday is this inverted hammer. So this, if you saw this at the top of a trend, it's like a shooting star. It's a fading formation. It's a topping formation. That's what the word I'm looking for. Topping formation. If you see it at the bottom of the trend, it's also a reversal formation. So be careful of this one. There's good reason or good risk reward in getting long at this and having a tight stop below. I mean, I would have it below the 28,800 level. But if you're looking to get in now, 30,300, you've got about 1,500 points on the downside of risk. And then the upside is really, for me, 40,000. That's the sort of like, there's a level in between 40,000 and here as resistance, but 40,000 is the main one. So yeah, I'd watch out for that. So break it down to the smaller time frame charts. And if we look at the smaller time frame charts, we've posted a higher low, although we are challenging that now. So that for me is the level. It's so close to call. It's at such a pivotal level. This short-term chart does look like we should get continuation.
Would you reckon we'd get a follow through on the selling if that broke?
Yeah, that is like big time follow through selling. If we get below this 28,800, honestly, there's like 10,000 points on the downside.
I was looking at Twitter, I think yesterday, and the amount of people that are just, oh, just keep buying it, it'll be fine.
Yeah, the majority.
Just, like, just buy and hold. But if if you're trading something, it went up to 69,000. You've got to be able to take some profit off the table, even if you're, the firmest believer in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. I get that, I understand it, but why would you not take some off the table at some point?
Well, this is the thing, is everyone sort of like, it's a psychological thing. Everyone goes with the herd, follows the herd, and they have this number in their head. Everyone's looking for 100,000 because it's a nice number. So, and that's where a lot of people mess up in trading. They sort of like, they fixate on a level and think, right, that's my target, for no other reason that it's a nice round number. So that's where people go wrong. And now, and thinking about, I did read something yesterday, I can't verify it, but the majority of owners of Bitcoin are now underwater. So that doesn't mean to say, it doesn't mean to say that the big whales are underwater. They're the ones that have held it since zero, and still sitting there long and controlling the market because they are in control. There's no one out there that is actively selling Bitcoin unless they're getting out of a position or selling Bitcoin as a sort of outright trade, and no one's doing it with with leverage on a serious basis. You might get the short-term traders doing it, but no one of significance. So that is why this market is sort of like easy to manipulate from the long side. So that's why I never get too carried away and say, oh, it's going to, if it was a real market with people, had a hedge potential and needed to sort of like be short of Bitcoin for a reason, then it would be a different story. But this isn't that type of asset. So there we go. It's that's my view in it. We are stalling ever so slightly. We've got higher lows here, so there is a little bit of potential on the upside. It's a nice triangle formation. Should continue lower, but it's really a 50-50 shout. You sort of
Just
like
drawing
got
a
to
fib
look at
line
there.
on from the lows in March, Steve, 2020. The 61.8 comes in bang on your level. Literally bang on it.
From lows of 2020. I'll get the weekly chart up, shall I?
You've got it there already, haven't you? In red.
Yeah. Yeah, 61.8 there. 28,737. Nice one. Yeah, and that this like reaction here. I mean, this could be even better if this is basically the right shoulder neckline, and then we have another little rally up.
Is there a bigger head and shoulders there, do you think?
Yeah, there could be. That's what I'm saying. You could have this as the head and shoulders. And we haven't formed the right shoulder yet.
Yeah.
That'd be the end of crypto if that was the head and shoulders.
I
Because
mean,
that
we're
is,
obviously looking at Bitcoin here because, you know, it's the bellwether of the cryptocurrency market. But what's going on with the others? Are they all getting smashed?
Ethereum's holding in well. That's quite solid. You get the smaller ones that are getting hit a lot more aggressively. Dogecoin, I think that's the Dogecoin. That's Digibyte. This is the only one
Litecoin
I've ever bought. This Digibyte.
Where did you get it? June 2021.
Yeah, around about there.
All right.
So yeah, that's been pretty stinky.
Litecoin's horrible. I keep an eye
yeah.
on Litecoin. It's looking tough.
I mean, look, these just look done. Solar, is it? Solana. That doesn't look too bad. Looks slightly supported here. Got a decent level below. 57.5 for me is like would be a level of support. A break below there, and it opens up the move towards 20. Shiba.
So what is the advice to these guys? Because there's going to be a lot of people out there, as you say, most people now underwater in Bitcoin. What do you do? Do you hold on now, you know, or do you get out and think?
What a waste of time that
just
was.
Admit defeat.
No, maybe get out and just buy some NFTs or something.
Just flip it into the air.
Oh no! I mean, you can't sort of. It's like what it is. What it is. For me, it's the emperor's new clothes.
A big
There's
old
a
learning
reason.
curve for a few people.
Exactly, and we've gone through a 15-year period of like no interest rates, and that, again, that interest rates start to going up, and people are looking around thinking, all of a sudden, why their assets aren't quite as valuable anymore, because there's another sort of like beast opening up. If that interest rate story takes off and we start to get higher interest rates, people won't know what to do. They're sort of like, they can have safe investment with a government bond or a gilt or something like that, and their money's safe and they'll get a nice rate of return. But will it be enough to combat inflation? I don't think so. Not in the short term anyway. So yeah, anyway, let's move on to commodities.
Get some haters for that, aren't we?
Well, it's just, we're just seeing it as it is. It's
Telling the truth.
nothing personal. It's just business. No. It sounds like Ozark. Nothing personal, Marty. So yeah, on the 4-hour chart in gold, we've seen a little bit of a turnaround. So we saw the nice break of the 1850 support level at long last, but it hasn't stayed down here too long, and it's formed a bit of a morning star formation. We ignore this. Well, if we combine this candle here, you can combine candles, so you can have 2 down candles, 2 sort of like supportive candles, doji, bullish hammer, and then we can have 2 up candles, 2 positive candles, maybe looking to target a move back to the 1865 level on gold. A nice little reaction this morning. It's been down to 1832. I think the next supporting gold for me was just below there. Actually, we got this band of support. Well, this is where we put the band of support, and that is the bottom of it. So it could open up if we extend this out here. That's the upward trending support line from the lows of August 21. 1, 2, 3. So the 4th point has been broken through, but we are climbing above it. As you can see here, it's getting back above it. So it'd be interesting to see where that closes on a daily basis. If we do close below the trend line, then that's more significant. Oil, which we didn't sort of cover too much yesterday. We've had 2 really decent sell-offs negative days in oil. We've sold off from the 110.50 level in WTI crude oil and got down to 97.37. So that's a pretty decent sell-off. Again, a little bit of a descending triangle formation. If we take a look at it from this perspective, we've got a nice line there, and we've got the downward trending line here. That's a descending triangle formation, which is normally a continuation chart. So the oil story is not over yet. It has its potential to do a bit more work on the upside. The dogs seem to agree to it. I mean, that's targeting the measured move target of that is a move to $200 above there. That's a bit of a way off, and that will be a bit of a torrid time for the globe if we get to that sort of level. But yeah, at the moment, shorter term. Oh, this was a nice trade idea. Oh, that was the one from the other day, wasn't it? Yeah, so shorter term, a nice bullish outside candle, then better than the engulfing candles. Outside candle takes the whole of the body and the wicks from the previous candle and engulfs it, and then we see this nice projection higher. Again, probably looking to target a move towards 103 and test the resistance there before we see the next move. That's me. I think I've taken up too much of your time.
No, it's good, Steve. So I was just sitting there flicking through a load of these cryptocurrencies on the scanner.
Ouch.
I mean, I've got 200. This is only the Binance exchange. It took me ages just to get through the A's, but I mean, nothing is looking good at all.
Yeah, no.
Like, seriously scary if people are lumped up in these things.
Well, it's a little bit like that with stocks, individual stocks as well. You've got the major ones like, we talked about it yesterday. We talked about Meta and Apple and Amazon that are sort of on really serious sort of like breakdown levels, but they've held quite well. So they've held the index up. So the crypto index has been held up because you've got Bitcoin in it.
Yeah.
But if they break and they have a bit of a sell-off, it's like
Look at that.
bedlam. It's like bloodshed. But then again, what will people do? Will they just sit there and hold it? Yeah, probably. Most of them will, but most of these cryptocurrencies will fail eventually.
But stocks are a totally different story, right? They're generating cash, and they've actually got real business there.
Yeah,
but
you don't.
I
I mean,
dismiss these coins because some of them might have a decent use case at some point. But
yeah, exactly. You've got to look at them individually and see what value do they bring. And it's a little bit like the individual stocks. Yeah, they might be generating money, but is it enough? Are the margins too tight? Can they continue? Most of these companies, a lot of these companies have taken on huge debt to sort of like get to where they are, and then also the interest rates have gone up, and they've never thought about that because interest rates were never an issue in the past. So they maybe not factored that into their sort of like forecast. It's a bit of a frightening time, but I don't know. I think a lot of the crypto guys will be sitting there even when it smashes through the lows and saying, hey, it always bounces, don't worry about it.
I think well, that's also about, isn't it? It's when you're down by so much, your what was a trade then becomes an investment, because it's like, oh well, I'm already down this much, so I'll just keep going
there's
down.
no point in getting out. It's not worth a lot now. I might as well hold it. And that's exactly what we were guilty of doing in the .com era. So it's this is a voice coming from the mistakes that I've made in the past. So it's like Pistachio
I knew we'd
says
get someone.
ETH is holding well because it's a big upgrade. Ethereum too. Yeah, exactly. But the Ethereum again is one of the big ones, and that's got a use case. It's got these uses. There's a lot of cryptocurrencies that people are invested in which have no use. They just symbolize they look not quite nice because they've got a dog attached to them or something. And they've got no use, but people are invested in them and sucked in by it. And it's not good. And then you get the split in you get the fork or whatever as well in Bitcoin, which again adds value to Bitcoin, but it's only temporary. You sort of like got
where's the measured move? Fuck. Minus 254 of this head and shoulders top on Ethereum.
Yeah, I mean, we're at such inflated levels, and really sort of like when you own one, it doesn't really matter how much it's worth if you're using it for something. It doesn't really.
It's a bit better, isn't it?
Yeah.
Down to 1,000 again.
Yeah, I mean, that again, nice round number. I'll buy some there. Or will I? I think
it's done a lot of this.
Yeah, the new kids on the block come along. So there's Bitcoin, and that was built on old technology, as far as we're concerned at this point in time. So you'll have the new kids on the block that will come in along that will do things far more efficiently. Bitcoin uses far too much energy to do what it does to create
Green cryptos, eh?
Yeah, exactly. Green cryptos. Is that Solana? Is that why Solana's holding up? I think that's
Oh,
a
is
green
it
one.
a
I
nice
think it's a green
ESG
one.
compliant one?
Yeah, I think, yeah, of course it's important in this day and age, but yeah.
Well, obviously people talk about crypto replacing fiat currency, and there's no sign of that at the moment. This is the US dollar on the weekly basis, still,
There's
super
a few
strong.
countries that have adopted it, haven't they?
Yeah.
There's three or four countries that have adopted cryptocurrency in their own form. So there is a regulated form, which is the banks want to control it still.
Yeah, of course, and they always will, won't they? There needs to be, in order to balance economies like we're seeing at the moment, you need to be able to raise inflation, raise interest rates, or add. Well, I don't know if you need to do QE. I think the jury's out on that.
Well, it's definitely failed. I mean, the idea of QE in the first place was to sort of lower the cost of borrowing, but the risk to it was higher rates later in the
Yeah.
future, and obviously higher inflation, and we're seeing that now. It's playing out. So people shouldn't be surprised. We've spent all this time. We've had a lots and lots of years of this growth and this wealth story. And there's a price to pay for it at some point, and we were bailed out. The banks were bailed out in 2008. There's a price to pay for that at some point. Are we at that point?
Maybe. Right, let's try and rattle through a few more charts then. We can save that conversation for another day. Hopefully it was useful for anyone that was watching. Okay, so dollar index up at these highs still. No sign of it slowing down. Decent strength yesterday, although engulfing most of those gains as things stand at the minute, but there's a long way to go obviously on the trading session. If we take a look at cable, that's on the front foot, but still overall looks pretty rubbish. Few signs of indecision around these lows, but still looks like lower prices are expected really from here following the break of this bearish flag. So expecting a continuation lower. Euro US dollar on the front foot too, up by 0.2% as things stand at the moment, but still trapped in this little range and expecting to see lower prices. Obviously, if it breaks below 0470, then we're expecting lower prices down to this kind of region here, which is around 103.38. Aussie against the US dollar having a little bit of a bounce back following the breakdown of support at 69.67. Again, expecting any gains to be fairly short-lived. There was an interesting pattern that I did spot actually, which was in euro sterling. Now, this has obviously been in a horrible downtrend for many, many months, but for me, it looks like we have potentially completed an inverse head and shoulders, a nice upward sloping one at that. Taking out the neckline on the move higher here on the 6th of May, and we're still holding above it. We do have this downtrend resistance though that is preventing it from moving higher at the moment. So it's possible, I think, that we see maybe a retest of around 85.12. If we can get some decent buying interest around there and prices holding, then that could provide a platform for higher prices. And the measured move of that head and shoulders is up here at 88.23. So some decent potential there, I think, over the short to medium term on euro sterling. Let's take a look at some of the indices. As we said yesterday, it was pretty choppy. So I'm going to start off with the Dow today. Still not really a picture of health by any means. We were lower on the session. We saw a pretty large range all in all, but managed to close below this support level, this key swing low from the 24th of February, which for me isn't a very good sign at all. Looks like we've got some really large sort of top formations here that have formed on the Dow Jones, and I think we can be expecting to see lower prices here continue for the foreseeable. Similar situation on S&P. Sorry, that looks awful. Head and shoulders top here, broken down through the neckline, looking for lower prices. Any rallies here are likely to be short-lived, maybe up to this kind of zone here, 4,104, before further selling takes place, and we're looking for ultimately a move down to this kind of region, which is 3,333, which is the measured move of this head and shoulders top. On the Nasdaq, we saw that hold support yesterday at 12,213. So while that continues to be the case, there is potential for a bounce up to maybe 12,900, but again, only likely to attract more selling interest, I think, at this moment in time. I'll finish off with the FTSE 100 just because it's our domestic market. A little bit of a bounce yesterday, holding up relatively well compared to other markets at the moment, mainly due to the influence of oil and mining within the index and the links to the US dollar as well. So that's keeping that propped up for now. Jamie, over to you on stocks. You're on mute, Jamie.
Your microphone's fallen out, mate.
This is, it's
Yeah,
professional
we can
done
hear
by
you now.
me. Here we go. I was trying to share my screen. I'm on mute. Here we are. We're back. Right. We'll start off. Biggest gainers and losers. Our biggest gainer actually did come off. Well, I say it came off earnings. I had a little look at this. This is Biohaven Pharmaceutical. Got bought by Pfizer yesterday. I don't know if that was planned to be on the same day as earnings, but for whatever reason, they coincided. So it was up 68.39% on the day. And this kind of broke my loose rule I have of kind of price action into earnings. But of course, there can always be a catalyst that changes that around, and being bought for, I think, $11 billion can do that. We'll jump into Upstart. I know this is a popular one with a lot of retail traders, but this was down on earnings, as you can see, down 56.42%. So this is a big gap down, and then a doji candle to finish the session, trading at 68 million shares compared to the average of about 12 million. So it was a real bad day for Upstart. I'll rattle through a few of these quickly. Coinbase, we talked about the crypto struggling. Coinbase is, it's right there with it. Earnings, let's see where they came in. Underestimates by the looks of it. Down to 72. I think actually after hours, sorry, this doesn't look so pretty, but down to 61.55. So closer to this level here. They're just tumbling at the moment and no real relief in sight as of yet, but we'll see how that develops over the next few days. Peloton, I believe, had earnings too, also looks rubbish. We had, and like I say kind of before, had the warning signs of this perhaps going into a bit of a struggle. We've had these big sell-off days that you can see around earnings, these big reds. I don't know if they're particularly obvious, but just here, big sell-offs in the market. We had this nice run up during COVID. People wanted to get on the bikes and whatnot. Maybe people want to get on less bikes now. They can go outside and use real bikes. But yeah, we're all the way down to $12.90 now, down from highs of where we 160, almost 170 this time a year ago. So, I mean, that's a huge sell-off, isn't it? Let's just look at that on a percentage terms here.
Called the top on that as well, didn't you, Steve?
Probably.
When you bought one.
When I fell off it.
There was the moment. No, we're
It
down.
does. It still looks good. Still looks really good. Not the stock, the actual bike.
Stock.
Yeah,
the bike. Yeah, I was gonna say the stock doesn't look so hot. Yeah, 93% down from highs, which is, I mean, awful, really. There's no other way about saying that. We'll jump into Nike. Nike's heading towards a 61.8 fib drawn up from the COVID. I think it's drawn up from the COVID lows. Yeah, there we go. But again, not looking very healthy. It looks quite toppy. We had this double top pattern. Let me zoom back in. Here we go. We had this double top pattern here. So we had this, let me draw, what was kind of a support level around here. The double top kind of played out. We've got one top there, another there. And I think I was actually looking at this while it happened. And I think this actually quite nicely hit the measured move target, maybe? About, give or take. Oh, no, it did a bit later on. I mean, you could say it hit there, but, that was played out quite nicely. Heading back down to 61.8 fib, as I was saying. Do you want to look at Shopify? Not really. Ooh, we talked about it yesterday. I wonder what price this will be when it does end up splitting in June. Do you reckon it'll be like, I don't know,
the volume there properly accelerating?
Yeah, I mean, look at that on a weekly as well. You can see the blue line here is the 20-period average for volume. You can see it's just, as you just said, Joe, accelerating. It's getting greater and greater. We're coming down to a relatively important level. There was obviously some support back at this $300 level here, which is also a psychological level. So that perhaps is where I'd next be looking for some kind of support. But I mean, I wouldn't want to be jumping in on this right now. It looks horrible. Disney coming into the 78.6 fib, so they're kind of, a lot of these stocks are at relatively important levels. And this seems to be an area of kind of importance back all the way back in 2015, this kind of $110 to $100 level. Just a lot of choppiness there, so I could expect to see some kind of buyers come back into the market. Jump into a couple more. Here we go. This is on the weekly, so this is a nice double top on the weekly here we've got for MU. But what I wanted to quickly look at here was one of the things I often talk about, how when price hits support level, I want to see quite a quick reaction if possible. We had this initial reaction, but it seems we've been sold off into quite quickly. So I wouldn't be surprised if we did eventually get a break of this level. If we look back on a weekly, a lot of negative candles. We had doji candle here. This isn't quite and Steve, you might want to give me the correct name for this because I know you said it earlier. Because this
hammer.
Inverted hammer at this level, which you could
There's
argue
a load of them there. There's like 2 or 3
they're
there.
just coming down here, and I know that could symbolize some kind of the bulls getting back into the market, but the follow through is, to me, what's important from a psychological level. And if we do get another close around this level, that wouldn't be looking so hot. And I mean, from here, I'm guessing the measure move takes us right down to this kind of 42 level. I mean, let's have a little look. Do draw data. I was a little bit off, about 45. So we're coming down towards this kind of prior area of congestion, but again, not looking great. We'll find something that looks good one day, but probably not anytime soon. Microsoft, bit of a rally yesterday, but still this head and shoulders could well be playing out. We'll see how it closes on a weekly level. A couple more that I like. Cineworld is right down at this support level, descending triangle, continuation pattern, especially in a downtrend, a break of that support. You kind of look to target 2/3 of the triangle as a measured move. So we'll see where this takes us, kind of back into this. Look, there you go, back into these wicks down here from October of 2020. Rolls-Royce, head and shoulders looks to have played out. We are heading a lot lower on Rolls-Royce, I think. It's not looking good at all. Now West heading towards support. This previous 480 level support heading down there. I think that's pretty much it, to be honest. Not too much different from yesterday. I mean, there was some light relief in some of these stocks, but to me, there's always going to be days of some kind of rally. The follow through is what's important, so we'll kind of see how that goes today, but certainly nothing I'm convinced about at the moment.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Jamie. Good roundup. Okay, so let's move on then to the gun to the head challenge that we participate in each trading session. Just so round up on what it is that we do. We pick a trade idea live on the video each day. We publish this to our TradingView profile, so you can go and check those out anytime you like. Each of the ideas must have a stop and a target. All the ideas are placed at market, and we cut these trades off at 9 p.m. UK time, or when the stop or the target is hit. So yesterday we had 3 trades, as we typically do. I'll just share the spreadsheet so you can see. So these are the 3 trades. Where are they? Let's get to the bottom of this. So there's a fair amount of trade history here. So we had a short on New Zealand dollar, US dollar, which made 1.39R, and you two went in on the cryptocurrencies. Just both a little bit unlucky, caught on the volatility, I think, there, because they did both sink into the end of the session. So all in all, we were slightly down, but we had a bumper day the day before, so we had a few coins to play with, which was nice. Who's got a trade idea ready for us today?
I've got one.
Go on in, Steve.
So Bitcoin.
Uh-oh.
Retesting this. Well, let's have it there. It's actually breaking through this potential upward trending support line. 1, 2, 3 points. That's the trend line breaking through now. So live on air, this is the level it has to, for me, it has to break this horizontal level at 30,200 to put this next level at 29,700 under pressure. But as I said before, we have got to be aware that this isn't just like any asset, any other asset. This is, for me, could be a potential bottom formation forming. So I am going to give a little bit back to the crypto community and going to actually buy Bitcoin. The hard stop for me on cryptocurrency, as I say, is that blue line, 28,788. That's where I would be emptying my vault or wallet. But anyway, let's focus on what we can get out of this trade idea. For me, this looks like the potential. That's quite a decent stop, I think. It's 29,627. It allows this level to be retested. We're getting in here. For me, that's a decent risk reward, 4-1. You could be a little bit, you know, bring the stop right down to decent levels, but oh, I like that one as well. Let's do that. That is a 5-1 risk reward trade. That's what I'm doing. I'm buying Bitcoin at 30,227, selling it, taking profit at 32,627, which is just below the resistance of 33,000, and the stop is at 29,747, which is below this previous candle. That's
Good
it.
luck, mate. We know what happens to those people that try and pick bottoms.
Yeah, get dirty fingers.
So, Jamie, have you got a trade idea ready?
Yeah, I can go. So today we're having a look at the pound against New Zealand dollar. We had this is a daily chart we're looking at here. We had this extended sell-off throughout February and into March. We've retraced up to the 50% Fibonacci level. So I'm going to look to short it here. As I always say, I kind of look for a bit more of an instant reaction when you kind of get to these important levels. We did kind of test it and we've retested it, but I'm going to give it a crack anyway because I think I can get some decent risk reward out of this. If we kind of keep the stop just tightly above the high, it gives us a decent move potentially to the downside. So I'm going to look to sell this at what we're trading at now, 19538. And we'll look to take some profit at 1.9167 with a stop at 1.9631. Which gives us quite a nice 3.99 risk reward. So looking to sell the pound against New Zealand dollar today.
Nice, good luck, mate. I'm going to take a look at dollar yen, actually. So this is a basket of currencies. So basically what we've done is created a basket, taking all the yen currencies, putting them together to have a look at the yen on a collective basis, effectively. You can also do this via the JXY ticker code, but I find this is sort of super weighted to the US dollar, whereas this one's more of an equal weighted basket. So what I'm seeing here potentially on Japanese yen is a little bit of a bottoming formation taking place on the daily chart. And as we know, yen has been absolutely taken apart. So what I was looking at on the dollar yen side of things is we had this big level posted on the chart for at 130 because that's where the Japanese central bank said they would be talking about intervening. But we've seen prices remain stubbornly high around these levels. But I think we could be in the process of forming a little bit of a top here. Really like this candle here, big shooting star, made new highs but closed negative on the day. So I'm going to potentially, I'm going to try and call a top here basically. We've already seen on the hourly chart this kind of range form. I was hoping to sell it there, but it's already got away from me a little bit. So let's jump on that now. Selling it at 129.95, targeting a move down to these swing lows here, which is also a 61.8% fib level of this swing move higher here at 128.62. And I'm going to have a stop loss at 130.52. So looking for 2.35R on that one today. That's my trade of the day.
Nice
Okay, what's going to move these markets today? Data.
It's
We
Jamie done
have.
his.
Yeah,
Sorry, I
Jamie's
missed
done his.
Jamie's. Oh, I missed that one.
Wake up, Steve. We've got consumer prices at 1:30 UK time. This is the latest read on US inflation, so going to be well watched. The number that we were looking for is 8.1%. That is the expectation. So that's calling off from a 40-year high at 8.5% that we saw last month. If it comes in above that 8.1, then I think that could spark a bit of a reaction on the markets. At 3:30 UK time, we've got the latest read on oil inventories. So keep an eye out for that if you've got any exposure to oil. And then nothing really for the rest of this week. We start looking towards the week after, actually, where we've got retail sales in the US, inflation data in the UK, and also a jobs number in Australia. So another longer episode today from us. Hopefully it's been useful for those that have watched, and we can call it a day there, gents.
Yeah, cheers. Safe trading, everyone.
Safe trading. Have a good day. Goodbye.